Here's an interesting thing I come across here. This is Spellbinder again. The Guardian came out with this issue, and it's only because this has been reported elsewhere that somehow hackers look to take over the power plants. And it's an AP Foreign news article, Wednesday, August 4th, 2010. Loretta C. Baldor reported this, and I think she's getting a little fear factor in her. This is the Associated Press writer, and this is Washington's AP. It's the press, international. Computer hackers have began targeting power plants and other critical operations around the world in a bold new effort to seize control of them, setting off scramble to shore up aging vulnerable systems. Well, since the get-go of these power systems, I've done my research on them. They're not easy to get into because they're a closed system. They're satellite linked amongst themselves, and they're not on the normal web per se. I mean, maybe somebody's laptop can gain some type of program that can go in and break in, and that would be their problem, not the system's problem. Cyber criminals have long tried at times successfully, to break into vital networks and power systems. The only time I've seen them break into a power system successfully was, what was that called? Nuclear Storm on Sci-Fi Channel or something, where they went in there and made a nuclear power plant critical. That was the only time I ever heard of such nonsense. And that's fiction. You just can't go into these systems off the internet and get into them. They're closed systems, especially in America. I don't know about other parts of the world, but I know in the United States they're closed systems. They don't allow you to get into them, and they're the most protected since 9/11 that I've ever seen. Supposedly, according to, quote, the government, will tell you that you can't get into these systems. In response to the growing threat, the Department of Homeland Security, or Nazi Security, has begun building specialized teams that can respond quickly to cyber emergencies at industrial facilities across the country. Okay, industrial facility, that's a very open, broad term. Is that just a regular factory? It's not the power companies. I mean, I've done my research on this. You just can't go in and say, I'm going to go in and make a nuke critical or shut the power down a coal-fired power plant. No, you can't get in there unless you're into it. In other words, you're an insider. Only an insider can do something like that. It just is more nonsense I'm hearing coming over the internet. As much as 85% of the nation's critical infrastructure is owned and operated by private companies, ranging from nuclear and electric power plants to transportation and manufacturing systems. Many of the new attacks have occurred overseas because they just don't got the technology in there to fight this like we do in the States. But the latest episode magnified worries about the security of plants in the U.S. This type of malice code and other we've seen recently are actually attacking physical components, the devices that open doors, close doors, build cars, and open gates, said Shane McGurk, Director of Control System Security for Homeland Security. Yeah, because this man has access into their systems. Follow the trail. They're not just going after one or zeros of the computer code. They're going after the devices that actually produce or conduct physical processes. The only way they can do that, they have to be inside. There's no outside. I couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. No one can do it. As a hacker can get in there and do anything like that. It's just not possible. And the officials have yet to point out any operating systems that have been compromised. See, they haven't even done it. The latest computer worm. But cyber experts are concerned that attacks on industrial systems are evolving. Well, yeah, they'll have to get into the system or go through the satellite systems. I've seen satellite systems set up at power transfer stations. I mean, yeah, they can try to get into those, but I don't think they can do much. Because once you're into those, you got doors to go through more than a hacker can see. In the past, it was not unusual to see hackers infiltrate corporate networks. Well, yeah, because networks are not as secure as power system networks that are enclosed. They have no internet access. At least they didn't used to. And if they do now, then that's just wrong. I just don't understand how they can go about this and do it. It sounds cuckoo. Hear the cuckoo in the background? That's what it means. It means this is cuckoo. See, they could trigger plant shutdowns. The threat began to escalate last year with cyber criminals exploiting weakness in systems that control what the industries do. Now, these are basically BlackBerry and links and stuff, and maybe what movie was that with the kid? There was a hacker used to work for a corporation, and he gave the kid a musical song he happened to put on his father's computer, and it had a code inside of it. Sounds far-fetched, but yes, you can now dub stuff on top of audio stuff, and it's real hard to do. And this computer worm dubbed Stuxnet was even more alarming progression. Now hackers are creating codes that actually take over critical systems. In many cases, operating systems at power plants and other critical infrastructures are decades old. Sometimes they are not completely separate from our other computer networks used by companies to run administrative systems or even access the internet. Those links between administrative networks and the control system provide gateways for hackers to insert malicious codes, viruses, worms into the programs that operate the plant. Sitting in his office not far from Homeland Security, a new state-of-the-art cyber operations center, McGurk recently held out a small blue computer flash drive containing a destructive Stuxnet worm. Well, see, it was somebody who got in, plugged it into the system, and got into the inner system. They're not coming from the outside. It's an inside job. Now, if they want to worry about something, yeah, worry about the inside jobs. And most of them are being done by government officials who have access to control these systems from the outside, who come in and do maintenance to make sure their systems are secure. See, I'm looking at this in a totally different way than this article is trying to make it out, that you or me or anyone who has hacking abilities can just make this happen. No, it doesn't happen. It's somebody on the inside. Experts in Germany discovered the worm, which has since shown up in a number of attacks, primarily in Iran, Indonesia, India, and U.S. corporations, that is, according to Microsoft. On Monday, Microsoft released another update to address the problem. The Siemens has taken similar steps. Yeah, I got that update. It was the August 2nd update, and that's for my private system to keep that particular virus, bug, worm out of my system. But I'm not hooked up to anything that's vital, like power companies and nuclear facilities and military facilities. They're all encapsulated. They're all inside themselves. I just don't see how. This is a scare tactic again. I gave you the scare tactic about their spy on your neighbor thing just before I put this report out. Annual reports issued by Homeland Security and the Department of Energy have detailed weakness in the industrial and computer system and have repeatedly pressed companies to improve security practices. Reports recently that this may urge companies to routinely download patches to update software, change and improve passwords, carefully restrict access to critical systems, and use firewalls to separate commonly used networks from those that are control key systems, which a lot of them have went out of their way to make sure they encapsulated their systems over the last 5 years. Now, this is kind of like old news or something. The successful attack against critical control systems, the Energy Department warned in its May report, in other words, they're setting something up, may result in catastrophic physical or property damages and losses. Over the past year, Homeland Security has quietly been deploying teams of experts around the country to assess weakness in the industrial control system. The agency has created 4 teams, money to be made, and with budget scheduled to increase from $10 million this year to $15 million. My God, I wish I could get in on this. I'd be rich. Has plans to grow to 10 teams in 2011. The teams are armed with $5,000 kits. Ooh, I wish I was the inventor of it. A black suitcase-sized bag crammed with cables, converters, data storage, and high-tech computer forensic tools. With that equipment, they can download the problem malware and analyze it and work with the companies to correct and clean their systems. Now, they're not only talking about power systems, they're talking about the regular industrial systems. There's a lot of leaks and openings because a lot of them have outside access through the internet to work at home. And this is what they're doing. The power companies don't allow this, as far as I knew before. Then maybe they've changed their ways and left themselves vulnerable to these new attacks, which would be stupid. These things should be closed tight. And the teams have done 50 assets and have been dispatched 13 times to investigate and help correct cyber incidents and attacks. 9 of those cases involved some type of deliberate cyber intrusion, while the other 4 were unintended results of an operator's action. In the 9 intrusion cases, the company represented had gone to a conference and had the presentation documents downloaded into a computer flash drive. See, that's the only way you can get in, is through a flash drive. And all flash drives, when they're plugged in, should be checked automatically by a software like Cinetech or something to find if there's anything in there that will infect the computer system. One of the files was infected with the Mariposa botnet, a malicious software code that has infected 12 million computers worldwide, including hundreds of companies and at least 40 major banks. Now, banks are always open to this. You can go in with your own internet and go to the bank and get your account information. In 190 countries since appearing in December 2008. When the man returned to his office and connected his laptop to the company's network, the botnet spread, eventually affecting nearly 100 computers. A Homeland Security team was called in and helped the company to evaluate the problem and help to clean up the system. Now, this is the type of crap that they're talking about. It's not the power companies and the nuclear facilities, because supposedly, as far as I know, they have themselves as secure as possible against this stuff, because they knew about this stuff 5 years ago and took action. This is just 5 years ago they started taking hyper action to stop any type of infections. And like I said, a sci-fi movie came out that covered blowing up a nuclear power plant by shutting off all the coolers and stuff. I mean, I'm just still sitting back here going, if that's happening, then it's apparently being to happen. It's not accidental. It's something that's being deliberately done inside to make it happen. Well, until next time, this is another story on Wake Up, see what they're doing. None of this stuff is accidental. None of this stuff is happening without somebody inside knowing. Until next time, be good at it. This is Spellbinder. Keep an eye on your system. Keep it updated with software for viruses, Cinetech, all the rest of the virus protections out there. Be good at it. Good day.